What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Raw review from May the 3rd of 1993. Getting started, the show begins with an Intercontinental Championship match between Shawn Michaels and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. We are back in the Manhattan Center, just FYI, if you care about where the show was. The entire crowd is behind Duggan here, especially since last time we seen HBK, he was getting homophobic chants yelled at him by probably this same crowd. I believe they shot two or multiple episodes in one area at a time. So if it was live last week, this week it was taped, but it had the same exact crowd. So who knows? It probably is the same crowd that was chanting that Shawn was gay last week or whenever that was. Duggan obviously in control at the beginning of the match since he is the bigger guy. Makes sense there. Also, Hacksaw with a ton of USA and Ho chants to an obnoxious level. After commercial, Duggan gets caught up in the ropes by Shawn and Michaels gets on offense. Jim Duggan has such an 80s mentality to him. The most I can try to explain that is the way he sells for Shawn and the moves he himself does. It's not a bad thing necessarily, but in what is now a faster paced era in 1993, he does so much hyping up moves and getting the crowd behind him only to hit a slow looking slam or clothesline. The match, however, ends when Shawn tries to leave the ring, but Hacksaw clotheslines him. They don't get into the ring. Duggan sends Shawn into the crowd and causes a countout. Then he gets in the ring and wants the match to restart. You are the reason it ended by countout. How stupid do you look? So he gets in the ring and does a sit down strike, the first ever on Monday Night Raw. But after commercial, he's just posing for the crowd and we go into a King of the Ring update, and afterwards we move on. So no restarts for Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Shawn Michaels retains the title. Next up, we have Doink the Clown in a jobber match versus X-Pac, aka 123 Kid, aka Six, aka Sean Waltman, aka Kamikaze Kid, aka just the Kid, but in his tights he has L Kid, which I believe stands for Laredo Kid. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, that's what he has in his tights, L Kid. But this is an enhancement match, so we skip to the end where Doink wins with a submission. Speaking of enhancement matches, Bob Backlund gets one for himself and gets a bridge pin victory over Dwayne Gill. Next up, we get Hacksaw Jim Duggan back out to get an interview from him. So he comes out and let us know that Jack Tunney agrees with him and that Shawn can run, but he can't hide. So next week we are going to get a rematch, but this time in a lumberjack match. He says there's only one thing on his mind, and that's the Intercontinental title. Oh yeah? If that was the case, why'd you knock Shawn over the fence instead of getting him back in the ring? But Duggan is just intolerable to listen to. He drops his three catchphrases to end the promo: tough guy, USA, and ho. Which at this point we've already heard them like 50 times on the show. We then get another vignette promo for the Smoking Guns. I think this is the second time, so we can expect them to debut in a couple more weeks. The Head Shrinkers get a jobber match up next. Out of the little I saw of the match, they were really vicious in the ring, and they end up getting a win with a splash from the top rope. Actually, one of the best acts on the roster in terms of their gimmick and in the ring. Someone who has a decent gimmick, but is not anyone in the ring I want to see, Kamala up next in another jobber match, wins with a splash, but then doesn't know how to pin the guy until the fans help him out, once again. So we end the show with Shawn Michaels getting interviewed about his lumberjack match next week, and instead of me telling you what he said, just go ahead and listen for yourself.
Champion Shawn Michaels. And Shawn, I know what you've gone through. It's been an uphill battle your whole career to win this. Now, they stab you in the back. Jack Tunney Incorporated. You know, can you believe this? Have you ever, in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, seen an Intercontinental Champion treated this way? I mean, Jack Tunney, I'm the World Wrestling Federation Intercontinental Champion. And now Hacksaw Jim Duggan somehow gets me into a lumberjack match. I mean, he protests. He calls Jack Tunney at home. I don't even have his home phone number, and I'm the Intercontinental Champion. See, that's what I don't like. It's not fair. If he's got Tunney's home phone number, you're going to put the title up next week right here on Monday Night Raw. I don't like the sound of this. No, neither do I. I mean, who knows who he's got up his sleeve? Plus, not to mention all the people he's going to have around the ring, all his buddies. I mean, you know, don't get me wrong. I got a couple numbers of myself. I got a couple friends out there. But you know something, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, one way or another, this thing's staying with me. Let me know one thing. I know you must have something up your sleeve.
So yeah, Shawn doing some good work playing the coward, not wanting this match to happen. So if we have to put up with seeing Hacksaw Jim Duggan, at least we get Shawn Michaels as his opponent. But with that, let's get to the awards because that was the last thing on Raw. For the best moment, I'm going to give that to Shawn Michaels' promo to end the show. And that's exactly how uneventful this episode was. For the worst moment, I gave that to Hacksaw complaining about the end of the match when he had the chance to get Shawn Michaels back in the ring. He looked like a complete dumbass right there. Worst match, I gave that to Kamala versus the Jobber because he doesn't even know how to pin the guy after who knows how long he's been wrestling. For the best match, if I have to pick one, only because it was the only non-jobber match, I'll give it to Hacksaw and Shawn Michaels. For the wackest performer, if you didn't guess after all the crap I've given him, you should really seek some prediction classes. But wackest performer goes to Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Standout performer Shawn Michaels is obviously going to get this one for me, keeping me invested in this feud. Alright, so for my overall grade, again, if you couldn't guess what the overall grade for this episode is, you might need some help. But this one gets an F. Nothing of importance happens, and I'm pretty sure they're going to explain why the Lumberjack match is happening next week. So this week was nothing but filler, with one quick countout match to get us to the next episode. Hoping next week can get more than one match that means anything, even two main roster guys fighting for momentum. I'm just sick of the same guys getting jobber matches with no storyline. So yet another tally going to the Bad Raws, making it 6 now, and we stay at 9 good ones. Still haven't had an A episode, which is going to be hard to achieve, but I think someday we might find an episode that is must see. So, with all that being said, I'm out. I'll catch you guys on the next review.